Namaste. Uh, Today I'm going to show you how to take care of and tune up an Indian Tanpura. So what I've found is often people find Tanpuras that have been lying around for a while, not being used, or they find one, they buy one second hand. So I'm going to assume that you've got a Tanpura that hasn't been used for a while. In my experience, most of the Tanpuras also are in kind of a bad state of repair. So I'm going to have to assume that your Tanpura is kind of functional. I have a Tanpura here that I'm going to tune up. And this is called the javari, the bridge. So that needs to sort of be in a good shape. Not too many deep pitted marks there. Or rust or other things, so it should look smooth. So I'm going to put the bridge back there where it belongs. So I'm also assuming that that all the strings are on your Tanpura and you have the correct strings. If you need strings for your Tanpura, I can recommend ordering them from Tarang Musicals in Germany. Alright, so the other thing you want to do is check your tuning pegs, because if the Tanpura hasn't been used for a while, often the tuning pegs are a bit squashed or are not really running properly. So the first thing, you need to make sure that the pegs are all contacting in 2 points. So the pegs have 2 points of contact. One is here and one is at the back. So make sure that all the pegs are coming through in the second point of contact there, which means that they also should be upright, not like this. You might like to, if they haven't been used for a while, you might like to pull them out, check them a little bit, and you can rub some chalk on them like this at the point where it contacts, usually on the first contact. So this is just plain, I'm using plain blackboard chalk. So that helps them to sit properly. If they're really stiff and they don't move, sometimes maybe it means that they're jammed in too tightly. So the pegs are tapered, so they have to. So it's important how far they're pressed down. So if they're too hard to move, try to wriggle them back up. But they need to be down hard enough that obviously they don't slip. Alright, so the pegs are in place. So now I'm going to start tightening the strings. So I'm just trying to get a bit of tension on them. And then I need to use a reference point to work out what to tune it to. So you can use a tuning fork or a note on a harmonium or piano. I'm using a Tanpura app and I'm tuning to D. So this is a male Tanpura. That is, it's designed for men to sing with. It's a bigger one. And I'm tuning to the note, the tonic note of D. So first I need to get these two middle strings, the two middle strings on the tonic note. So you notice that the Tanpura is not buzzing yet because I haven't put the threads in into the bridge. So I'll explain that as we go. So I'm just rough tuning it now. So these two middle strings are tuned to your sa, that is a tonic. And then the big string, thickest one, is an octave down. And the string on this side is normally tuned to the pa, to the fifth. So this is the first stage, which is rough tuning, not fine tuning. So once I've got it roughly in place, well then I can even turn off my other, my reference note if I like. Then I need to start putting threads into the javari. So this is the javari. It works by having threads underneath it normally. So the javari is curved like this, and these are just cotton threads. You can experiment with different thicknesses. This one is just pure cotton, kind of thread that you'd use for sewing jeans with. So I've got that doubled, 2 strands. I need to find the spot, the sweet spot. So I pluck the string and I need to pull the thread down until it finds a spot that brings out the harmonics. Now I might need to adjust that a little bit more as I keep tuning. Second piece of thread. So finding the sweet spot. And the last piece. Alright, so I've got it roughly in place. So now how do I really get the Tanpura in tune? So to get the beautiful sound that an Indian Tanpura has, the tuning has to be very precise. I would say much more precise than what you're looking for with the guitar or some other instrument like that. Because it's only when it's perfectly in tune that those harmonics are coming out. And the nature of the javari, the bridge on the Tanpura, is that it splits the harmonics from the sound in a same sort of way that a prism splits light into color. So now for the fine tuning. So this is my reference point. So this first string of the middle two. So these two strings are called javari strings. So they're in unison, they're the same, and they're tuned to your sa. So I take the first one as being my reference point. So I need to make sure that this string is where on the pitch that I want to sing to. Just a bit of some fluff there. So once I've got that one where I want it, the next string, the second javari string, has to be tuned exactly the same. And you notice that these are the fine tuners. And I need to get those exactly the same. So if there's even a hint of the two being different, if I even have a suspicion of the two being different in any way, then I keep working on it. And I'm listening as much as possible to the high harmonics, to get the high harmonics matched with each other. That sounds pretty good. So next, I usually do the thick string, which is called the kharaj string, which is an octave down. At any point you may need to adjust the threads a little bit to if the string is not vibrating in the way that you want it to be. So one way you can check this harmony is that if I induce the harmonic which comes from the halfway point of the thick string, that's the note that I should be hearing here. Okay, so that sounds good. Next point is the pa string. So most of the rags we tune with the fifth, the pancham. But to make this work on a Tanpura, note this, you can't tune it with a tuner. It has to be a just tempered fifth. The just tempered fifth is exactly 2 cents sharper, 2 cents higher than an equal tempered fifth. So this true pa, I can actually hear here again, if I divide this thick string into 3 and I've induced this harmonic, this is giving me the true pa. Well, that harmonic, it comes in an octave above. So if I want to match that with this string, I need to induce the octave harmonic here. So those two should be the same. And when you're looking for the correct tuning on the pa, it's a good idea also not to first just tune it with the javari. So we know the javari are correct. I can check those again. So now I just tune the pa against the two middle. And then I can bring in the karaj, the thick string. And then I listen overall, I listen globally. And again, I'm listening to the high harmonics. Trying to hear whether all those high harmonics are in tune. Sometimes it helps to change the position that you're listening to the Tanpura from, to come a little further back or the other side. I think it stops the kind of fatigue, the way that your brain starts sometimes becoming resistant to different sounds. So getting the Tanpura in tune is always a work in progress. You can just keep listening and checking. You start singing with it. Then you might realize that we need to adjust it a little bit more. It's also dependent on the health of the javari. So in this case, with this instrument, I can hear that this karaj string is not completely acting correctly. So sometimes there are limitations with the instrument, but working on the javari is a very expert job. And it really needs to go back to India, to the maker. That sounds pretty good. Sometimes you can experiment with different thicknesses of thread if something's sounding a bit noisy. For me, that the karaj string is sounding a little noisy. So that's the tuning of a male Indian Tanpura, and it can also be tuned to lower down to C sharp or C. Usually the male Tanpura is tuned somewhere between B to say D sharp. Female Tanpura is usually tuned somewhere between G and B, higher.